When you save a file, what do you think? Where does it actually go? You see folders, you see file names, but your computer sees something completely different. Today we'll understand what file really is and why it matters for cybersecurity. At the lowest level, storage is just large collection of bytes. Your SSD doesn't know what photo is. It doesn't know what PDF is. It only stores binary. So at the lower level, file is just 0 or 1. It stores binary. And file is just a structured bytes. So the real question is, if storage is just bytes, how does the system know where that file begins or where that file ends? And that's the job of file system. A file system organizes raw storage into meaningful files and folders. So that's why you can see your content, not just random bytes. A file system keeps track of three important things: the file name, the file location, and metadata. You know about name because you only give that file a name, and location also, where that file is getting stored. But what is this metadata? It is nothing but it includes size, permissions, timestamps. You can say data about file, like what is the size of that file, what are the permissions related to that file, and what is the timestamp when the file got created. So your file systems only keep track of these three things. Files are not stored in one continuous chunk. They are broken into blocks and scattered across the storage. The file system keeps a map of where those blocks are. So let's say your file is A. So it is not stored as one entity. It scattered across the storage as a small chunks like A, B, C. And your file system will track where these chunks are located, the address map only. And when you delete a file, and often only the map is only removed. So whenever you are deleting the file, only you see this map can be removed and your file will be still there. Whenever you delete a file, the data isn't instantly erased. The system just make that space available by deleting the map. Until overwritten, data can be sometimes recovered. So as I've discussed in the last video, that storage, whenever you delete any file, it can be overwritten and it can be misused by the attacker also, the particular storage. You think you have deleted the data and of some file, but it can be recovered. So yeah. Now file system also controls permissions. Who can read the file, who can modify it, and who can execute it. If permissions are misconfigured, attackers may access the sensitive data. As I have discussed earlier, like file is associated with particular permissions, and if this permission is misconfigured, any attacker can access it. So we have to be very careful, and attackers mostly attack this file system with the permissions. So some files are marked as executable. What does that mean? That means the system treats those bytes as instructions. When you run a program, those stored bytes are loaded into RAM and executed. On disk, a program are just bytes, but in memory, RAM, it becomes a behavior. Now, why does it matter for cybersecurity? Why should we learn it? Because malware, what is malware? It is just a file. What is ransomware? It is also a file. Backdoor is also a file. Security starts by understanding how files are stored, tracked, and executed. If someone modifies the stored bytes, they can modify the behavior also. So, what we have learned today? Today, we learned storage is raw bytes, and file system organize those bytes. Files are broken into blocks, and deleting doesn't always erase the data. And executable files become running programs. Next, we'll follow exactly how those stored bytes turn into execution inside the CPU. And remember, we'll keep it simple.